So static stretching is actually a really hard thing to study from a research perspective. So it's really hard to know, hey, is this protocol actually making the muscle longer, or is it just desensitizing us to stretch? Because we have some protective mechanisms that help prevent us from overstretching, which could cause damage. So scientifically, it's very hard to say, yes, this protocol works or this system works. Some of the research is a little bit confounding. So they did a research in athletes who were injured, or athletes to see if static stretching reduced the risk of injury. And what they found was that there was no change, or in some cases there was actually the athletes who static stretched were injured more often. But this could also be a case that athletes who've had injuries in the past actually spend more time static stretching, so they're more disciplined with it, they're more dedicated to it, and they've had some history of injury in the past, so they're at a higher risk to have injury in the future. We static stretch because if I give the athletes some static stretching to work on at home, it doesn't get done, or it doesn't get done properly. So it's a chance for us to monitor it. We take 5 minutes of the workout to go through a static stretch circuit. The other reason we do it is that the athletes tell me that they like it. You know, they'll say, hey, when we first started, I remember about a 16-year-old hockey player was like, oh, are we doing that, stretch circuit thing again? And I said, yeah, we're going to try it for a few weeks. And he, his response was like, oh, that's great, because it feels so good. The other bit of research that you might have heard, it sort of gets in the mainstream media, is that static stretching decreases your peak power production. And which has been true, it's been studied and shown. So if I were to static stretch a muscle and then go do my vertical jump, I wouldn't do as well as if I had not done that static stretch, or if I'd done more of a dynamic workout or warm-up. But the other side of that is, if we static stretch and then go do our dynamic warm-up, we negate pretty much all of the loss in performance. And mostly in our workouts, we're not doing a 1-rep max lift, we're not doing max vertical jump. So we don't really need that peak power anyway. It's not a competition, it's a workout. So that's why we static stretch before we train a Revolution conditioning. And let me walk you through the static stretch circuit that we go through right now. So this is our 90-90 stretch. So we have our front knee bent to 90, our back knee bent to 90, and we're just coming forward with our chest. So we're staying tall. We're not dropping down, we're staying tall, and we're trying to increase the crease in the front of our hip. And we're going to hold that. We hold all the stretches for 30 seconds on each side. So we'd hold that. Then, after 30 seconds, we'd come up nice and tall, and then bring this shoulder, or this part of our torso, over toward the ankle. So it's a little bit of a side bend, and I feel that more on the outside of this hip. So when I come forward, I feel it more on the outside of this hip. I should not be feeling it in here. And when I come sideways, I come in to the outside of that hip. For hamstrings, we get one leg up on the bench, nice and supported in the bench, and then we rotate our pelvis. So we close it down, which I feel more on the outside, and then we open it up, which I feel more to the inside. So we close it down, and we open it up. And we just rotate through there. So it's a little bit more of a controlled dynamic stretch. The next one we're going to work on is ankle dorsiflexion, because if we don't have good mobility in our ankle, then it's going to affect how we use our hips and our knees. So the stick's just above my pinky toe, and then I'm going to bring my knee to the outside of the stick, making sure I keep that dowel straight up and down. My heel stays on the ground. And again, it's just a controlled dynamic mobility exercise. And when I'm at the peak, I should feel a little stretch or tightness in here. Then we're going to get a nice static stretch for our hip flexor. So let me show you on this side, actually. So I'll bend that knee, really nice cushioning under the knee, and then come up, making sure that I squeeze my glutes together. So I'm making it active by squeezing my glutes, and you should feel a stretch in the front of the thigh into the front of your hip. Make sure you're not hyperextending your back. We just use the TRX for this one, but you could just hang off a power rack or anything you have, as long as it's solid. And we reach around and we grab kind of our outside of our shoulder blade, and I'm just going to kind of pull my torso level or pull my chest level with the floor, and I feel a stretch here along the outside of my shoulder and in through my armpit as I do that. When we do the Spider-Man, we're thinking about getting our back knee nice and straight and dropping our hips down. So I'm trying to make myself long from my ankle right out the top of my head. I don't want to be rounded over. I want to be in a nice straight line position. So that's the static stretch circuit that we're using right now at Revolution Conditioning. We change it up every couple of months, partly so that the athletes who train here can just get used to it and we're not changing it all the time. But then we do want to add some sort of fresh ingredients every few phases. So that's how we're doing it right now. This is Maria from revolutionconditioning.com, where we help you achieve your goals and live your dreams through proven training systems. Cheers.